Good afternoon. It's wonderful to welcome you all to the Deported Veterans Advocacy Project this afternoon. It's a really special, incredible project of Veterans for Peace. I know you all have been working together for many years, and we'll talk about the success of being able to bring veterans back into the United States and some who still need help, and you're working to get those issues resolved. So thank you all. I'll just mention Willie and I worked together for 2 years, Willie, on the VFP National Board of Directors, and it was really a time we did a lot of positive work together. I'm sorry, I should have introduced myself. First, my name is Susan Schnall, and I'm currently president of the VFP National Board of Directors. So on behalf of the board, welcome everybody to what I know will be a terrific workshop. It's yours, Willie.
Okay, thank you. And I'd like to welcome everybody also to the to what is actually our 12th consecutive Deported Veterans Advocacy Project workshop. Started in Miami in 2012. We didn't become a project till 2016, but we were in the business. And those of us who began there, well, not many of us anymore, but several of us are still around and working. My name's Willie Hager. I'm the administrative coordinator for the project, and I basically just answer emails and follow directions from our collective, how we do our business. Uh, I've worked with Jan Ruman, who is our operations coordinator. I've worked with him since the 1970s, and we came together on this adventure way back in 2009 or somewhere like that. And Jan has been like kind of the founder of the project, and you'll be hearing from him in just a minute. But I want to welcome all of you to come and share the time with us. And we've got a panel of speakers that we're going to bring on as we go through the program. Starting with Robert Vivar, our executive director for the project. And he'll be followed by Colonel Robert Blessing, a chaplain who is naturalization and combat theater, PTSD, is going to be the things he might be discussing. Dr. Rudy Nelson, who has done our casework for us for our veterans getting their benefits. He travels to Tijuana and works with our veterans on the Tijuana side of the border. And has gotten many of them their benefits and helped to get their lives back together again and get them on their feet. And we appreciate everything he's done for us over the years. And I know that he's made these other veterans' lives much better because of his efforts. And we really, once again, that word pops up is appreciation. And so that Dr. Rudy Nelson, he'll be talking with us. And then we got Miguel Rocky Hernandez going to be down there in the Tijuana office. Rocky's been with us since actually the beginning. He's just been set up as working in our office there in Tijuana and is working with our other panelist, Gary Lutzenheiser, to intaking veterans and getting them oriented to where they need to go and connecting with Robert and getting them connected up with the legal help that they need and on the U.S. side and things of that nature. So there are what we used to call office pogues, and they're doing the grit work right there on the scene. So that's pretty much about us. We're about me. Been at it with Veterans for Peace at least since 2012, doing these workshops and working with Susan on the board and just furthering the work of peace. So with that, I'm going to pass it along to our operations coordinator, Jan Ruman.
Did you want your video first?
Huh?
Did you want your video first?
Oh, I'm sorry. We have a video first. I would like to show you a video of some of our work over the years. It's just a quick couple of minutes to see. There's Rocky.
You might have to take a picture.
Finally get to be home. My wife was stuck. Anybody? Out.
You gotta unmute, Willie.
Okay. Now that we've seen the video, we're gonna
Yes,
hand this.
hi, my name is, go ahead, I'm sorry, Willie.
I'm gonna hand this over to our operations coordinator, Jan Ruman. Go ahead, Jan.
Yes, good morning. My name is, well, afternoon out in you folks next to the wood. They've asked me to cover where it all began. I'm Jan Ruman. I'm in San Diego, California. It was an email from a military reporter here in San Diego that led to this issue in 2007, late. Passed on to Willie in Florida and passed back to me. And what the email said was, I got this issue. I ran it by my editor and he has no interest in doing anything with it. Perhaps you guys do. We do, we did, and we continue to. The first workshop was held actually in 2009 in the convention held in Maryland. But it was 3 years later that another workshop was held in Florida, as Willie indicated himself, and George Johnson and Louis Alvarez attended that workshop. The first workshop, after the workshop on Thursday, we took a train ride with our attorney, Heather Boxes, and Louis Alvarez and his sister, Angelica, and myself. And she gave us a tour of the U.S. Capitol building, the numerous Senate and House office buildings, and the labyrinth of tunnels that interconnect those buildings. That was our introduction to lobbying for deported veterans. And then we took our train ride back down to Maryland to finish the 2009 convention. Since then, we've been seeking justice for victims and veterans of war ever since. I'll pass it off to Robert.
Thank you, Jan. And hello, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here with you all. My name is Robert Vivar. I'm the Executive Director of Unified U.S. Deported Veterans Resource Center / DVAP member. And I'm a military family member. And having been deported and having family in the military was a shoo-in for me to get involved, which I did since my deportation. And I've been here with the folks since right around February of 2014. Um, Again, I appreciate being here with you all for the space and the support that we have received from all the VFP chapters and VFP National. The Deported Veterans Advocacy Project, a project of VFP National, opened the doors in Tijuana, Mexico in April 2017 to Veterans for Peace Sergeant Barrios Memorial Chapter 182, Unified U.S. Deported Veterans Resource Center, Playas Barracks. Our center sits just a few yards from the Ped West Port of Entry, which is also the deportation area, where folks being removed from the United States enter Mexico. Since then, this operation has been a force of advocacy for the repatriation of deported veterans and support with obtaining rightly earned VA benefits for our deported veterans. To this date, this office has been and is a crucial operation in support of not only deported veterans, but also expat veterans living in the Baja area, and also as an active stakeholder in the Department of Homeland Security's Immigrant Military Members and Veterans Initiative. Our coalition efforts have participated in over 105 veteran repatriations, with several more in the process of coming to effect. During the pandemic, the San Diego VFP 91, as well as many chapters from coast to coast, were part of a tremendous humanitarian effort to provide resources, human, monetary, to homeless refugees from across the world. This tiny office was an operations center what would support the efforts of presenting over 3,000 refugees seeking asylum in the United States to the San Ysidro Port of Entry to successfully enter under humanitarian parole. This included a deported veteran as well as a deported mother of a U.S. active duty Army lieutenant. Since the pandemic, as many organizations, businesses have suffered greatly to keep their doors open, they have had a financial challenge. This brings us to a critical point to address regarding fundraising to continue to keep our doors open. Some have stated that the office should close and go strictly remote operation. I say not. This office has served and continues to serve as a place where deported veterans can come for assistance in navigating the complicated process for repatriation, as well as obtaining the rightly earned benefits, as well as assistance with food, clothing, and others when donations permit. Every week, we continue to receive new requests for assistance, such as recent contacts from U.S. Army veteran deported to Canada with medical mental health issues. U.S. Army combat veteran living in the shadows in Texas, re-entering the United States after being deported. U.S. Army veteran currently held in immigration detention, fighting deportation. U.S. Army veteran deported to Matamoros, Mexico. And recently, we were also contacted by a Marine Corps veteran who was just recently deported to Tijuana 2 weeks ago. In the last 2 months, we had the unpleasant task of assisting the families of 3 veterans that had been deported, 2 U.S. Marine Corps veterans and 1 U.S. Army veteran that died in exile waiting for humanitarian parole approval to enter the United States to receive adequate medical and mental health care. U.S. Marine Corps Jesus Chuy Juarez passed away in Tijuana, Mexico on March 17, 2024. His remains were brought across to the United States by his family, and we were able to secure a memorial service at St. Andrew's Episcopal Church in La Mesa, California, officiated by U.S. Army retired chaplain Colonel Bob Lessing, who is joining us here today. In attendance were close to 100 family members, veterans, and veteran supporters. U.S. Marine Corps Corporal Jose Alaniz passed in Monterrey, Mexico on May 17, 2024. In communication with his spouse, she indicated veterans' last wishes were to be buried at a national cemetery in the United States. We immediately began a process of creating a GoFund to support and fulfilling veteran Alanice's last wishes. In the same manner, we proceeded as a stakeholder to reach out to the MVETS team for supporting obtaining humanitarian parole for veteran spouse to accompany veterans' remains to El Paso, Texas, as well as arrangements for burial at Fort Bliss National Cemetery with honors. Attorney Tran Dang, director of the Rhizome Center for Migrants and Deported Veteran Coalition member, immediately offered her support in filing for the humanitarian parole request for veteran Alanice's spouse, and diligently followed up on the request, as well as translating documentation needed, thus resulting in approval and granting the humanitarian parole request. So veteran Alanice's spouse was able to travel with veteran Alanice's remains and be present at his funeral at Fort Bliss National Cemetery with honors from the Marine Corps. Private First Class Fernando Orozco, who at age 20 enlisted in the U.S. Army, serving honorably, veteran Orozco, as many veterans do, had trouble integrating into civilian life and resorted to self-medicate, thus facing legal issues which resulted in his removal from the United States for a nonviolent drug offense. Veteran Orozco suffered many medical issues which prevented him from gaining employment, resulting in a constant struggle to obtain his VA benefits, and thus compounded with his addiction, had a very struggling life. Veteran Orozco is in the process of reapplying for humanitarian parole to enter the U.S. to receive the care that he was entitled to at a VA facility, and however ended up passing, waiting for his humanitarian parole to be reapplied for. Veteran Orozco has been brought back to the United States by his loving family to be buried in a cemetery. The family refused to have him buried in a national cemetery, as being disgusted by the lack of support in providing veteran Orozco his needed medical benefits. I know the families are very grateful for the support DVAP and VFP Unified has provided in such a difficult time. We are grateful for the quick response of DVAP coordinators Willie Hager and Jan Ruman, as well as the general support of VFP member and friend Mike Tork. To the many generous contributions from members of the San Diego Episcopal Diocese, with very special gratitude to Attorney Tran Dang for her tireless support of our non-citizen veterans and being a force of secure that needed our humanitarian parole. With your VFP chapter support across the United States, our mission in support of non-citizen veterans and military families will continue to be offered at our resource center in Tijuana, Mexico, regardless of where they are from. And our Leave No One Behind mural project will help us to continue to persuade legislation such as HR 4569, the Veteran Service and Recognition Act, to help end the injustice of deporting our U.S. military veterans that have served in the U.S. military. Thank you. God bless you.
Hello, my name is Robert Blessing, retired Army chaplain. Spent 2 tours in Iraq. During that time, I was involved in involved in some naturalization ceremonies sponsored by the State Department. And we casually brought these folks in during this time. Didn't realize how important it was, though, that these guys were able to sign up and do it. When most of these residents who became soldiers, because they weren't citizens, they didn't get the important confidential and secret clearances, so they could only really be 3 things: One was a cook, one was a low level vehicle maintenance guy, and then an infantry guy. Well, the normal infantry life story was you wake up in the morning, you eat, you do a briefing, you go out for 12 hours, you come back and eat or debrief, then eat, and then sleep. And then you start it again. You eat breakfast, you brief, you go out for 12 hours, come back, brief, eat, and sleep. That allowed no time for the naturalization to take place, especially for our immigrants that were volunteering to serve and sacrifice for our country. I had the joy of swearing some in, but I did not know that there were so many that could have that didn't, because they were just exhausted. And that was my experience with naturalization in Iraq. There were people who wanted to do it, they were too exhausted to do it, and they were in the toughest position. And so for me, the tough position as chaplain was I dealt with a lot of the spiritual and moral injury that took place. And I have to tell you, it was the base mechanics and the infantry guys that naturally suffered the most in their service to the country, that came back with PTSD, unresolved issues, damaged bodies. And when they came back damaged, of course, that they self-medicated, they did all the things that, you know, they might sell drugs to support their own thing, and then maybe even become more participatory in the production and sales of drugs. Or you had the violence, domestic violence, unresolved issues, stealing for things. Well, all that created a dynamic that got them in trouble, and they got kicked out. The first person to meet them after coming out of jail, as we know, is ICE, brought them across the border. And that's where they have to work on things. And I love what Deported Vets does, because it's trying to help get them back. My passion came as I helped the funeral of one of our Marines, and then I was 5 days before a brother soldier, Army soldier, died, Fernando, before he died because of lack of medical care, because he couldn't get into the VA to get the help he needed. I'm passionate about the care for our deported vets, how we can fix it, and what we can do in the future. Thank you.
One of our
Thank you, Governor.
panelists, Dr. Rudy Melson, won't be here for another 5 or 10 minutes.
No, a little more. Almost three
So,
and a half.
About 3.5, Rudy?
Sounds.
All right. Why don't we start with Chief Lutzenheiser, and then we can put Gary, I'm sorry, Rudy Melson in after him. Gary?
Yes, can you hear me? Hello?
We can hear you, Gary.
Good afternoon. I'm Gary Lawson Heiser. I'm a retired chief of the United States Navy.
Chief, you need to stand still.
I'm sorry. Good afternoon. I'm Gary Lawson Heiser. I'm a retired Navy Chief Petty Officer for the United States Navy. My wife is a veteran from the United States Navy. She was a cook. I was a cook. I was a chief cook. My nickname is Lou. We got involved with the deported veterans issue about 12, 13 years ago. I was actually at a meeting at a UU church where Jan came in and presented this information, and that's how I learned about it. And I asked the number one question: Are you crazy? We deport veterans, and I've been hooked ever since. My wife and I have built a support center and an Airbnb that we use as a support center and Airbnb in Pulaski, Tijuana. We've hosted the Veterans for Peace down at that office, down at my house, probably 7 or 8 years ago. I've been in a support position helping the deported veterans for the last 13 years. I am volunteering to stay at this office here, which I'm at. I'm at the Deported Veterans Office right now with Rocky and so want to say hi. It is super important to keep this office open. I've been trying to volunteer once a week. Unfortunately, I've been hurt with surgery and stuff, so I've not been able to maintain that very well. But I come down to his office as I can. I bring food down from the VFW when it's available. I bring down other goods, clothing, and stuff when it's available, and that's what I do. And I firmly believe this office needs to stay open.
Chief, can you turn it over to Rocky, please, and the other deported veterans sitting in the office there, please?
Sure. Sure. You guys talk on this. No. Say hi. They want to say hi to you. Introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Rocky Hernandez. I'm from the United States. I'm in the U.S. Army.
Hello, my name is Albino Acosta, and I'm a United States Marine Corps veteran. Deported. I've been deported for 2.5 years, and unfortunately, I'm 66 years old. But it's okay. Still young.
Yeah, I've been here going on 9 years. I'm deported from the United States. Never been to Mexico in my life, but here now, and I'm okay. Doing good. I work here in the office now, and I'm doing good because I like to help others. Like they help me, I'm here to help them now. So, but you,
Rocky?
I'm here doing watching basically since the first day I got deported. This is the first place that I showed up to. I had heard of the bunker prior to me getting deported, which is basically going on 3 years deported now. Not quite there yet. So it was like very horrific situation to say the least, right? The whole process of getting deported. I just like to say that I have a son who is a United States Navy chief, active service now. He's I think he's in his 10th year, maybe his 11th year. So I have also that. It's a bragging right? I'm so very proud of my son. He's going to put in 20 years. When I joined the service, basically in 1977, my intention was to sign up for 3 years, but I don't know how it ended up happening that I ended up signing up for 6 years in the Marine Corps and serve.
Well, thank you for your service, brother, and appreciate you telling your story today. Rock, could you tell us how you located Unified U.S. Deported Veterans in Chapter 182? And could you tell us if there was anything they did to help your life better, make it better? Did you receive benefits or anything at all?
well, I was walking through here because I got deported right here by the border, and I just happened to look at this, and I threw my name in there, and then they got a hold of me, and I've been here ever since. Because I just came at the middle of the night, like at 2 o'clock in the morning, with ICE, and they just shot me out of here. No place to go, no money, nothing in my pocket, and I'm thankful that that department right here, the Veterans Office, helped me. I'm very grateful, and I'm doing good. I'm doing okay. I got a job. Well, I had a job right away. I got a job, but I didn't know how to speak that well Spanish or write it. But I survived. I'm here. I'm a survivor, and I'm here. And I'm glad I'm here in the office now. So I'm helping out as much as I can. I'm coming here every day except for Sundays.
Thank you, Rock. We appreciate you talking to us and telling us about your experience coming across the border at 2 in the morning. I want to just mention that we're going to move on to Rudy Melson now. Dr. Rudy Melson is an accredited VA claims agent that processes pensions and benefits for our veterans in exile. He, in fact, got Rocky a pension, which helped him establish life there on a more comfortable level than having to go to work every single day. He's 76 years old, aren't you, Rock? Okay, let's move right on with Rudy.
But Jan, I'm not seeing Rudy in the meeting.
Okay, well then let's go to Q&A, and Rudy's unable to attend, unfortunately. And,
Yeah.
and then I'll do a quick closeout.
I see Torque has his hand up.
Thank you. Great to see Willie, Jan, and Robert, and all the other folks involved with this fantastic project. I just want to point out things that Jan and other folks have mentioned. It's disgraceful that these veterans cannot return to the US unless they die. Then they can come back and be buried. Disgraceful. It's also disgraceful that the VA says, well, they haven't lost their VA care. Unfortunately, there's no VA facilities south of the border. Disgraceful. And then the last comment I'd like to make is these folks, these deported veterans, most of who, if not all, served their country honorably, are keeping this office open. That's so important, strategic location. And when I was visiting them, they all forgot about their needs, which was to try to get back to the US and focused on asylum seekers and the serious problem of the immigrants. So these are some amazing folks. Thanks.
Am I next?
You are. I'm just winging it here. I'm throwing people up with their hands are up. But if you see yourself on the screen, you're up.
Okay. Yeah, I also want to shout out to all of you guys that are doing this work, and you brothers in Tijuana that are either stuck there or helping out, staying busy, helping out other veterans. That's really that's key stuff. And I certainly hope that the chapters step up to support this office and make it worthwhile and able to make us able to keep it open. I actually have a question though. Are you tracking any veterans that are not from either Mexico or Central America? I know that there have been, I've heard reports of veterans deported to Africa or to veterans deported to Asia or South America who originally came from those countries and then served honorably in the U.S. military. So can anybody address that kind of problem?
Jan or Willie, do you or?
You're muted.
Jan?
Willie, you're muted.
Yeah, Willie, we're not hearing you. Yeah.
Okay, I'm here. And yes, we do have contacts with other veterans in other countries. There's a couple over in Europe, one in Czechoslovakia, as I recall. Strangest place you'd think. But and also in Jamaica and in Haiti. I can't recall them all specifically, but I know of those that exist. We have like actually a group in Jamaica that got together for a while down there and formed a barracks. Does that help, Paul? Paul. Hello.
Thank you.
Paul says
Okay.
yes. All right, I'm going to pull up Doc T here.
What happened to Jan?
Jan fell off the call. We're going to get him back in as soon as he comes. Doc T, you had your hand up. You had a question?
Yeah, how does one
Are there any other questions?
yeah. How does one contact the right people to get in touch to help with this project?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yes, sir. Who does one contact to help get involved with the project from outside this local area in Texas and California and New Mexico?
Well, we received support and donations from actually all over the U.S., mainly in California. Our operations are in Southern California for the most part. So we try to outreach whatever veterans we encounter that come up through Mexico, but others can contact us online or at our phone numbers that are listed on the webpage, on the Veterans for Peace webpage, can contact us for support. Does that help?
And I just want to note that Becky just put that out on the chat, the web page for the Veterans Project, Deported Veterans Project. So you can grab it there or just go to the Veterans for Peace website and look at National Project.
Or you can just call me, Jan Ruman, on my cell phone, and I'll put it on the chat as well. Do we have Dr. Rudy Melson in the house yet?
Unless he's showing up under another name, I'm not seeing him.
He's not. He's the VA claims agent. He's probably on the line with the Veterans Administration healthcare system for some veteran somewhere around the world. He's been responsible for 11,000 veterans getting claims adjudicated through the VA. Many of them from our guys right here on the southern side of our border here and in other locations across the United States. So big shout out to Dr. Rudy Melson, great guy, great advocate, and an overachiever with all the master's degrees that guy's got. But anyways, it looks like we're going to run out of time in a few moments. How much more time do we have, Ellen?
You have another 3 or 4 minutes if you wanted. Maybe you just want to give some wrap up remarks.
I'd like to wrap up by saying I hope that you all found the update report informative today. We want to thank all of our panelists in today's workshop and all of you that took time to attend, and to our amazing tech team, especially Ellen Davidson for running the Zoom. We sincerely appreciate y'all. Since the pandemic, it's no secret that many organizations and businesses have suffered or gone out of business. Keeping the doors open for us has been trying and difficult as well. This brings us to a critical point to address regarding our funding needs. In order to continue or keep our doors open this year in 2024, the Hugh Thompson Memorial Chapter 91 of Veterans for Peace in San Diego, California, committed to paying our rent for $300 a month for all 12 months. We are now in the 9th month, and they've paid $2,700, and they have committed, and they will cover the rest. But our appeal from today forward is that we would hope that chapters and members across the United States would consider making a small recurring monthly donation. This would give us the certainty of overhead on a monthly basis, which would cover our rent, our utilities, office supplies, our food pantry, and our sheltering of homeless veterans by spreading our funding across many sources as opposed to just one chapter. Thank you so much. I now have the distinct pleasure of transitioning you to the SOVA, Save Our VA workshop, unless there's anyone else who has something important to say or just can't wait to say it, please. Seeing none, again, thank you all.
And
enjoy the convention.
We have the link for SOVA is in the chat, so I'm going to give you a minute to grab it if you need it before I close out this meeting. Thank you, guys. That was really informative and also very moving, some of it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Thanks,
Thank
Rocky.
you.
Thanks, Gary.